Hey there, welcome back to The Daily. This is Adriana. It's really wonderful to be back here with you today for practice. Happy June. It is a brand new month, which means that we have a new theme of practice. And this month, our theme of practice is the theme of acceptance. And I have to say, I am so excited for this particular theme this month because I think there are many kind of wonderful places where acceptance dovetails really nicely with meditation practice. In a lot of ways, what we are practicing on the cushion is a form of acceptance or welcoming, accommodating what's happening in our moment-to-moment experience. So we're going to be looking at acceptance this month through a lot of different lenses in practice. Self-acceptance and compassion, acceptance and forgiveness, even when it's hard, acceptance as the catalyst for change, anything that it is that we want to shift or discard or change, of course, acceptance being that first step. But for today's practice, I want to really just center ourselves by giving some space for a temperature check. So taking some time to witness what it is that we might be feeling right now, moving into the body and giving ourselves a bit of an emotional temperature check. So wherever we happen to be, as always, just taking a moment to decide on our seat of practice. And of course, if we're seated on a chair or couch, just making sure that our feet are flat on the ground. We're making a lot of contact with the surface area of the earth, as it were. And then once we've found our seat, it's taking a moment here to decide on our gaze. So eyes open or eyes closed, your call. And if we're practicing with eyes open at the onset here, it's letting our gaze be soft, hazy, unfocused, almost as though we're looking through space, not at anything directly. And if we're practicing with eyes closed, seeing if we can still maintain this sense of being alert and awake, aware of our surroundings. And as always, we'll take just a few moments here to open our practice by opening our senses. Just landing here in space, arriving fully. Turning our attention over to sound. Just receiving the sound of the room that we're in. Taking in the tonal quality. Just welcoming any noises that might be present. Accepting these sounds as a part of our practice today. Not as a distraction, but just another element that tethers us here. Reminds us where we are, what we're doing. Staying open to the sound of the room, shifting the attention to touch. So just dropping into the body here, feeling the shape that the body makes, that light pressure where the body makes contact. Receiving the texture of clothing against the skin. Temperature of the air in the room. So as always, very little effort needed here. We're just beginning to open up to what already is. Just our bodies here in space. Dropping the attention into the feet. Feeling the feet here. Space between the toes. Texture of the socks. Temperature of the air. It's bringing our attention to the details. Tracing the attention across the shin bones. Circling the kneecaps. Grazing through the thighs. Landing in the hips. Feeling our sit bones against the chair, the cushion. Moving the attention to the belly, the chest. Maybe even placing one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart, if that feels honest. It's taking a moment here to feel the body breathe. The rise and the fall of the belly with the breath against the skin of the palms. Tip of the nose, back of the throat. Just feeling the way the breath moves in the body today by its own volition. And then wherever, however, the breath is most available in the body, most easily felt today. It's dropping our anchor of attention here, marking this as home base, the place that we return to. And we'll take just a few minutes together to give our minds a chance to stabilize, our bodies a chance to settle, by working with that singular instruction that as our minds wander, which they naturally will, just noticing when we've left our breathing, acknowledging what captures our attention, and then gently, firmly coming back to the breath in the body. So in these first few moments of settling into practice, perhaps finding that our attention is drifting, lost in thought, spacing out. If this is the case, no big deal. Again, just acknowledging where we've landed, giving a light touch of recognition, and feeling the body breathe. That continual return, coming back to the body, back to the breath, back to the moment at hand, and resting here. And then if we haven't already, maybe just letting the eyes gently shut and taking a moment right off the top here to just give ourselves a brief temperature check. Leading in with the question, what does it feel like to be me? What does it feel like to be me? Right here, right now, no filter. And in the spirit of non-judgment, it's noticing what honestly arises in response to this question without making it mean anything about us one way or another. And we're just getting an honest read, collecting information. What does it feel like to be me? And perhaps today, whatever arises in response to this question is pretty obvious. Maybe there's a strong mood or emotion that's present, something that we're walking in with. Perhaps at the moment there's not much there at all, and that's okay too. It's leaving the door cracked open for whatever presents, maybe even noticing what neutrality feels like. Just continuing to come back to this question. What does it feel like to be me? And again, whatever is sincerely there in response to this inquiry, maybe just taking a moment to notice if and where that's felt in the body, the physical presentation of this mood or emotion. Just resting our attention here, beginning to work with it directly. Perhaps noticing if this mood or emotion has a particular sense of space. Maybe there's an area of the body where it's located. And if so, perhaps noticing if it feels expansive here, contracted here, maybe both, maybe neither. What does it feel like to be me? Perhaps noticing if this mood or emotion has a particular velocity, a way that it moves in or through the body. Perhaps it's a bit speedy, maybe it's a bit more still. stagnant even. And what does it feel like to be me? Turning to look at the mind, just getting a sense of what our thoughts are doing here. And again, if we find ourselves lost in thought, no big deal. And seeing if we can loosen the narrative just a little bit and come back to the raw material, the direct experience of the feeling in the body. What does it feel like to be me? Feelings are felt, not thought. And again, just noticing if or where this is located in the body, and continuing to work with it directly. Perhaps noticing if this mood or emotion has a particular density to it. Maybe it feels thick, solid. Maybe it's a bit more flimsy, ephemeral, just a little wisp of a thing. What does it feel like to be me? Perhaps noticing if this mood or emotion has a particular texture associated with it, a way that it rubs up against the interior of the body. Perhaps it's a bit prickly, smooth, sticky. If you could place your hand on it, what might that feel like against the skin of your palm? And again, turning to look at the mind. It's getting a sense of what our thoughts are doing here. Perhaps even noticing this interplay between thinking and feeling. And again, seeing if we can loosen the narrative just a little bit. Drop back into the body, the direct experience of the feeling, raw material in the body. What does it feel like to be me? Noticing if and how that presents. Continuing to work with it directly. Perhaps noticing if this mood or emotion has a sense of continuity. Does it feel the same as it did 15 minutes ago? Maybe it's shifted, evolved, something totally different altogether. And then if we've been working with a particularly strong or tender emotion, in the mind's eye, just noticing that box in front of you, turning the latch, opening the lid, and very gently placing this emotion inside. Closing the lid, turning the latch, and placing the box on the shelf in front of you. Knowing that we are emphatically not getting rid of this emotion, it is still entirely our responsibility. We're just keeping it safe until we can spend more time with it directly. And then allowing our contemplation to dissolve and bringing the attention back to the breath in the body. Taking just a few more moments to rest our attention here. Feeling the body breathe. And then in our final few moments of practice, perhaps closing out with one hand on the heart, or it's giving ourselves a little bit of credit, a little bit of thanks for checking in, making the space, working with our emotional intelligence. And then as you're ready, just allowing formal practice to drop and coming back in together at your own pace, no rush. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for practice today. Acceptance. I think it's going to be a really rich topic this month. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to practice with you all month long. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we will see you right back on the cushion, proverbial, maybe chair that you're meditating on tomorrow.